Hi, I'm Larry Hahn. This is the third in a set of 3 tapes which accompany a book I've written about framing an entire house. Now in tape 1, we built the floor. In tape 2, we framed the walls. Now here in this final tape, we'll put the roof on. Here's a preview of what you're going to see. We start by laying out for the ceiling joists, then roll and nail them off. Next, we determine our rafter lengths. Mark the rafters and cut them one by one. After setting the ridge, we can nail off the rafters. Finally, we sheet the roof and show how to join 2 gable roofs together. One of the things that most of us want is a roof over our heads. Well, we're about ready to build a roof on this house. But before we do that, we want to show you what that roof's going to look like. Here we have a model of just a simple gable roof. The main parts of it are this common rafter here. Then we have a ridge that runs the full length of the building. Here we have some ceiling joists. These ceiling joists and the rafters run 16 inches on center. In between, we've run some blocks. Now let's take a look at this common rafter in a little more detail. We've had to make a couple of cuts on it. Here at the top we have a ridge cut. That allows this common rafter to fit right snug against that ridge. Down at the bottom now we have a seat cut. We cut this notch out so this common rafter could fit right down on that plate. Now the pitch of this roof is 4 and 12. Well, what does that mean? It means that for every 12 inches that this rafter runs in on the level, it rises 4 inches. It's as simple as that. So how did we know how long to cut this rafter? Well, one way to do that is this. You measure the span. The span of a building is from the outside to the outside. Here we have 5 feet. Once we know that, we can use a book of rafter tables. We open it to the pitch, 4 and 12, and then we go over to the common rafter column, down to 5 feet, and we see that the length of this rafter is 2 feet, 7 and 5/8 inches. Now, that's the distance from the center of the ridge down this common rafter to the outside of the building. Of course, it doesn't include this rafter tail. Now, back up here at the ridge. This common rafter doesn't run to the center of the ridge. So we had to shorten the length of all these common rafters 3/4 of an inch. That's half the thickness of this ridge. Back on these joists, you'll notice how we clipped this joist so it wouldn't stick up above this rafter. Now these joists are really important. They get nailed into this rafter, and actually the rafter and the joist form a truss that helps hold this entire building together. Now on this end joist, you'll notice that we didn't set it on edge, rather we laid it flat. That way we have backing on the underneath side for drywall. Round on this side we cut a notch in it right here so we could slip in this common rafter. On top of this flat joist we nailed in these gable studs. These gable studs close in this whole end of the building. And right here now we have what we call a sway brace. This brace keeps this whole rafter frame from racking back and forth. Here at the edge of the building, we've blocked in between these rafters. This type of block is held flush with the outside of the building. We had to rip it down a bit so it wouldn't stick up above the surface of that rafter. Now, down at the other end of this model, we run in a different style of blocking. This blocking, we've run square with the rafter. That means you don't have to rip it down. And when you're running in siding or stucco from below, you don't have to notch your material around these rafters. Now, this isn't a complicated roof, and neither is the one that we're going to build up here on this house. We're going to begin that process by laying out and nailing in these ceiling joists. Now I need to be really careful when I'm up here walking the plates. I wear a good-soled shoe and my motions are slow and deliberate. Laying out for these ceiling joists, it's easy. Hook a long tape at one end of the building, draw it out, marking every 16 inches.